I love Splatoon. This franchise is easily one of Nintendo's most creative to date, which I find especially remarkable considering where it got its start. Back in the olden days, the year of 2014, Nintendo wasn't doing so hot. The Wii U was performing extremely poorly, mostly thanks to just awful marketing on Nintendo's part.
Hot buttered popcorn, that's a deal!
Why? Nintendo was dropping some pretty good games on the system, but their output also felt really formulaic. New 3D Mario, new Smash Bros, new Mario Kart, all excellent experiences, but nothing unexpected or out of left field. That is, until E3 2014, when suddenly... we got one of the most welcome surprises Nintendo has ever presented. Splatoon, a brand new IP that looked like nothing they had ever put out before. A multiplayer-focused shooter featuring these weirdos firing ink at each other to claim more territory than their opponents. But beyond this concept, the game still looked intensely captivating. It had a whole world full of new characters and concepts waiting to be explored. In the midst of what was kind of a creative down period for Nintendo, it seemed like something fresh. See what I did there? Despite being a completely new franchise and on the financial failure that was the Wii U, Splatoon was able to sell nearly 5 million units and quickly became a series that people immediately thought of when Nintendo got brought up. Fast forward a couple years down the line and Nintendo's got a new favorite child, the Nintendo Switch. Seeing this as an opportunity to expand the franchise to a new audience, we got Splatoon 2 just a few months after launch. And of course, massive success followed. Selling over 13 million units to date, Splatoon 2 became the most popular multiplayer game on the system that doesn't have Luigi in it, cementing itself as one of Nintendo's main 5 franchises alongside powerhouses like The Legend of Zelda and Pushmo. Which brings us to today. As to the surprise of many, or maybe just me, I don't know, Splatoon got another entry on the Switch in Splatoon 3. And while there's an overwhelming amount of hype and support for the game from fans and new players alike, there's also a smaller group of people questioning whether or not Splatoon 3 was really necessary when we already have a perfectly good Splatoon game on the Switch. Whether they needed to release it during this console generation when they could have just waited for their next system instead. So that begs the question. Was Splatoon 3 really necessary? No. But I'm glad we got it anyway. Look, I don't think anyone would argue that Splatoon 3 was a crucial game that we desperately needed on the Switch. If Nintendo held off on its release until they were launching their next console, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye, especially since so many multiplayer-focused Nintendo franchises operate in a one-per-system fashion. Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Mario Sports, none of these ever make more than one outing at a time, and up until 3, there wasn't any reason to believe Splatoon would be any different. So yes, Splatoon 3 was far from a mandatory release, but it's still one I greatly appreciate. Granted, it didn't do everything I wanted from a third entry in the series. 5 years after 2, the core multiplayer gameplay is generally the same, and while I wasn't expecting a major shift in said gameplay, a new mode or two would have been nice to shake things up, just as Salmon Run's introduction did for Splatoon 2. But at the end of the day, I would describe Splatoon 3 as a game of refinements. Matchmaking is infinitely better than it was in 2, as is general movement. There's greater customization, new weapons and specials on top of all the ones from 2 returning, and finally, after 7 years, you don't have to watch the news. A lot of the changes are subtle, but come together to heavily improve the gameplay experience. And of course, you've got the new characters and brand new story mode taking inspiration from Splatoon 2's Octo expansion to really make the experience feel newer. I think a lot of people are looking for one big thing to really justify Splatoon 3's existence, which is kind of what I've been doing since its announcement, crossing my fingers that there was something huge about it that they simply weren't telling us, a real game changer and evolution of the series. But once I got my hands on it, I realized that its existence, for me, is justified by being more Splatoon. While I completely understand and even side with the people that claim Splatoon 3 should have taken a larger step forward 5 years after the previous entry, I'm also just really happy to have it. This is a franchise that oozes charm and creativity, and seeing it grow to this point, free from the shackles of the Wii U, is honestly kind of heartwarming. It might not be the most innovative sequel ever made, but Splatoon 3 streamlines the series' gameplay in some excellent ways that I imagine will make 2 extremely hard to go back to. Come to think of it, is Splatoon 2 just completely obsolete now? Like, once I get her in 3, what's left for me over there? Actually, racist Captain Cuttlefish was pretty funny, I'll probably revisit that. You're so articulate, Marina, oh my god. Anyways, was Splatoon 3 needed? Not really. but that's not going to stop me from gaining 98 levels so I can learn how to dab. Plus, hey, if this means we get Animal Crossing first on the next system, I'm all for a dual Splatoon release on the Switch. Or they could just stick us into another 7-year-long waiting period, that's fine too, not like I'm traumatized or anything. But as always, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Was Splatoon 3 a necessary release for the Switch? And how are you enjoying the game, if you picked it up at all? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you later.